Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Today, as I record it, is August 21st, 2025, and I want to do a little check-in with all the things that I've been crocheting lately and some things that I might have crocheted in the past, like the recent past, but I forgot to show. Anyway, that is where we're at today. The grand theme of this is cardigans. Fun fact, I finished a cardigan. I absolutely love it and I'm ready to start the next one. So I wanted to make sure and show that off before I did anything else. So as I'm recording, I'm not sure if I've actually included this in a previous work in progress video or not, but I did want to start by showing my hexagon cardigan because I did finish that and I just can't remember. So I might cut all of this out, but if you're seeing it, obviously I didn't. This is the cardigan that I used that I made using the leftover yarn from my big pop-up sunflower granny blanket that is on the sofa right now getting so much love. And again, I'm so glad that I did all the research to figure out the ideal worsted anti-pilling yarn for that. Anti-pilling acrylic, that is. So anyway, yes, did a very basic hexagon cardigan, that first part, using kind of scraps as I would. And then I had a whole ball of navy that I'd bought to kind of add into it. And at a certain point, I started doing the sleeves and I did some decreases there. You can kind of see, especially in the pink, you can see the decreases on that granny stitch. And then did a ribbing of front and back post double crochets. Then at the bottom, let's see here. Yep, I combined up the back too. I gave a little extra space on the back. And then I did a little bit at the bottom and then ribbing as well. And then finally I did ribbing around the neckline. I do have some footage of me modeling this and the vintage buttons that I used. It is pretty cropped, but this is such a great piece to have in the car and to have on hand as the weather kind of changes. I feel like I talk about the weather in every one of these videos, but yeah, it's always be prepared, right? And I do get pretty sensitive to temperature, so it's good to have a variety of things on hand to make sure that I'm feeling comfortable, or to whatever degree I can control it. I can control putting layers on even if I'm chilly. I can't really control when it's too hot, but that's okay. So anyway, absolutely love how this cardigan turned out. I want to actually talk about the cardigan that I finished, and that was made out of a baby alpaca yarn from Knit Picks. I'd gotten a whole 10 balls of it, and I really did think I was going to be playing yarn chicken with it. I made up a stitch that I liked. I alternated in the back loops only, going between a row of half double crochet, and then I did a single crochet and then a double crochet just all along the row. That is the bulk of this sweater. And this is a sweater. This sweater used a construction technique that I really like. You start by making the back. You go vertically along the back, and then whenever you're ready to break for the sleeve, you decide where that's going to be, and then you just chain that number so you have that space open, and then you can continue along the front panel. And then you join your yarn again and make the second front panel. And then you can sew up the sleeves and just crochet the sleeves around from there. And then add your ribbing, however you like. That's how I did this one, and I absolutely love how it turned out. So it is super soft. It is that kind of dusty, it is kind of like a cadet blue, like a dark cadet blue. Has some gray in there, but it's that baby alpaca. It was a 3-weight yarn. I think I used a size H hook on it, maybe a G. Smaller than normal, so it's definitely not as bulky as the hexagon cardigan made out of a worsted weight, but really, really love how it turned out. I did try it on quite frequently, and there were some modifications that I was doing throughout to make sure it would fit me really well. It's not cropped, but it's not super long either. It's a really good length for me, so I'm going to use this when I start my next cardigan. But let me just tell you quickly some of the special stitches that I used. On the bottom, rather than doing a ribbing, I just did 2 rounds of single crochet just back and forth, and I did 1 round was in the back loops only, and then on the front loops only on the alternate side. So from the side, it kind of wrinkles up a little bit, but it just kind of pulls it in. I find that single crochet can be kind of tight and I wanted to just cinch it in ever so slightly around the bottom. The other thing that I did was when I worked the neckband, I did the button band in front and back post double crochets. I really like doing that instead of making buttonholes because I can get really hung up about buttonhole placement, but by doing alternating single and double, front post and back post double crochets, there's just naturally these buttonholes and you can kind of fiddle around and make it look however you want it to. So on the side that I knew would be the buttonholes, that's where I did my front and back post double crochets. And then on the other side, I just did some straight up half double crochets through both front and back loops. So that gave this really nice kind of placket here that I could sew my buttons onto. They are vintage buttons. They blend so beautifully. And then the only other thing was I would do the half double crochet around the back, around the neckline, but at certain places I would stop and kind of crochet two together because I wanted it, instead of to pucker up, I wanted it to kind of lay flat here. Like I have this really kind of distinctive angle from my neck to my shoulders, and so I wanted that to lay flat rather than kind of curl, just because of the way that I'm shaped. And that's really one of the joyful things about crochet and making my own garments from scratch, is being able to shape them kind of on the go. Similar to how I did the sleeves, they're pretty wide up at the top to make sure that I have plenty of space to move, and if I'm wearing like a bulky shirt underneath, it's not going to show up as bulky underneath the cardigan, but then it narrows down as you go down the forearm, and that's how I really like it. And I did end it with some front and back post double crochets for the ribbing there. So yes, that is my baby alpaca cardigan. I really, really love it. I'm excited to get to wear it. I think it's going to be a good staple piece. It contrasts well with these lighter colors. It's a good kind of anchoring color, but it's in those kind of dusty, deep blue, cool tones. So I think that'll work really well for me. The only thing I will say is that when I decided to do all of my rows in back loops only, I didn't think about how that would challenge the mirror image. Like when you are doing your cardigan like this, where you have the back and then you have like the extra front rectangle and then the other front rectangle, they kind of end up having to mirror each other. And so the result, which you can't really tell because of the color of the yarn and the texture, but one side is a slightly different texture than the other. Can you see that? Ever so slight of a difference. This has the same texture as the rest of the cardigan throughout this side here, and this one is ever so slightly different. I think from a distance it doesn't really read, and the fact that this placket is different than the other side, the button band, it doesn't really make a big difference, but it was something that I wanted to take note of as I'm choosing the stitch pattern that I want for the next cardigan that I make. And that one I'm going to be making out of Willow Wisp, and this is from Hirschner's. It's 45% acrylic, 30% alpaca, and 25% wool. Definitely a little bit scratchy. I think it's classified as a 3-weight, and I have decided that I'm going to again alternate two different stitch patterns, but I'm going to alternate between half double crochets and linked double crochets, and then I'm going to do a little bit of like fillet work, like your chain one skip one, and have little dots in it. Let me show you what I have with my gauge swatch. Not really a gauge swatch, but more trying out the pattern. So here this one is, and at first I was doing, let's see, it's this way up. At first I was just doing double crochets, and you can kind of see the difference in the double crochets versus the linked double crochets. So I would do a row of half doubles and then doubles and have those little chain spaces to have that effect. I really do like the placement of it here. But then I switched to doing a solid row of linked doubles, and then my chain spaces would be with the half doubles. And I like that so much better. I think it's going to be a really interesting rhythm to get into. So it's really more. That's the pattern that's going to be. I'm going to do the same construction technique as the kind of heathery navy sweater. With this one, I'm still going to do my rectangle for the back and then the sleeve and all that kind of thing. But I think since I'm not doing back loops only, it's going to translate a lot more solidly. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be beautiful. I'm excited to have a slightly different texture, but also to have a little bit of these holes in there to kind of give some interest as well. So that is the next cardigan I'm going to be starting. I'll probably start it maybe even today. That would be a lot of fun. Did I have any yarn left over from my blue hazy cardigan? What am I going to call that? I don't even know. I did have a little bit left, and I've started working one of my little scarves. I have a tutorial for this little scarf. I am using a size F hook. I'm using my gem size F on this, and I have a little bit left. I did have to get out my scale to weigh, so I'll know when I'm at about 15 ounces of this half, then I'll start decreasing back down. So yeah, my stitch marker here in a live loop. But this shows me that I'm increasing up this side, and then I'll not increase here, and then I'll increase the next repeat there. But as I was working on this, on my bigger cardigan, I had someone repeatedly just compliment the color and compliment the texture. And so this is going to end up being a little gift for that person. Hopefully they will really like it, whether they wear it as a little neck scarf or like a little head scarf even. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish this pretty soon. So yeah, I have less than a ball here, like that was less than a full ball. And then I had a few little scraps here. So altogether, I think this is going to be a perfect project. And that's also why I like that scarf that I showed you the tutorial for, because it's great for little scraps. And it's great like as a one ball project, and it's something that can be an easy gift to work up, which is what I'm doing now. So while I have this F hook, let me show you what else I've been working on with it. My bear in a box is no longer naked. I made another cardigan, but this time for my bear, and I used the moss stitch, and I used that same stitch pattern technique of doing the rectangle. And then for this one, I added another vintage button on the front there. So a happy little cardigan for my bear. This is not a pattern that Cassandra provided, but it was one that I thought my bear really needed. And so I put that together. I will say when I made this little cardigan, before I stitched up the top of the sleeve, I kind of laid it flat. And so I just went back and forth and crocheted up several rows for the sleeves. And so I think that was also another way to make a cardigan that could be really effective. In fact, maybe I'll try that for this one too. That would be interesting. So then rather than sewing the sleeve or creating the sleeve in the round, you're kind of continuing that same stitch pattern, and then you just sew up the shoulder seams. That might be interesting. Well, you sew up the sleeve and the shoulder all in one. We'll see, we'll see. So it was nice to have a little tester with the bear. Other things, let's see here. Hold, please. I did also make a pair of overall shorts or suspender shorts for my bear. In Cassandra's pattern, it's a full set of pants. I did have to modify a little bit because I did stick a tail on, but then yeah, I did add on some suspenders there so that bear can be in style here. And then I also made a happy little flower headband. So if we're feeling pretty, like kind of tomboyish, we could go that route. And then I did one more thing for this bear to go along with the headband there. So Cassandra did provide two really adorable dress patterns, and one of them had like a single layered skirt and this top, this kind of bib top. The other one had a different top, a different bodice, and a 2-layered skirt, and so I opted for this. I thought that would be really sweet on my bear to have kind of like a frilly tutu type of look, and then the headband to go with it. That I just kind of winged it. I think I did foundation single crochet, and then I had the tiniest bare scrap of this light pink left and just kind of fudged together a flower on top, like out of chain stitches. So that is that look for my bear. Maybe I could make some slippers, maybe I could make a rain hat, maybe I can make a scarf, but I think for now there are other things that I really want to finish right now. I still haven't worked very much on some Christmas decorations that I wanted to make for people, and it's the end of August. We're going to be moving into Christmas soon, so I want to be prepared there. Plus, get these cardigans made ahead of the change of season. So I think as of right now, Actually, I say that I might want to make like maybe some fruit or like a cup of coffee or something else small for the bear, but that is not a priority right now. So for right now, I think my bear is fairly well dressed. She can be a tomboy if she wants, or she could be a boy. I don't have eyelashes on her. You can be whoever you want to be, little bear, and enjoy. I'll put you on the box with all of your gear for sleep, your pillows, and your stuffed animals and things like that. But yeah, thank you again to Cassandra for this beautiful bear in a box crochet along. I do need to take some pictures and send those along to her. And of course, her channel is linked in the description below. There are just a few more things I wanted to show you that I have been crocheting. I did finish my owl from Pika Pow. I think Pika Pow, Animal Friends of Pika Pow 2. This is Newton the owl, but I have named her Eve. And again, just such an interesting thing. She is finished now, but I seem to just have a thing with spiraling. I don't know if it's how tight I crochet or quite what it is, but it seems like a lot of my amigurumi end up kind of like twirling in a circle. I know Complicated Knots, when she does her pattern, she tries to take the spiral into account. But yeah, it's just a little quirk of mine that seems like they're always kind of turning a little bit. And maybe, maybe we can think of that in an artistic way. Like when you look at portraits, people don't typically look just straight on. So maybe that's okay with your animals too. They're just slightly turned. They have a little bit of personality going on. Anyhow, that is Eve all done. And then finally, here's my happy little seahorse that I made. I think it was from Sweet Softies. I had to use beads for eyes because it's so teeny tiny. And this was from I think a Willow Yarns DK that was so teeny tiny. I think I used like a size D hook on this. But lots of fun just to make it and twirl up the tail there. I think they called for using a pipe cleaner and I just kind of stitched that up together. And as I'm saying that, I'm wondering if I already included this in a different video or if it was just a thought process. Anyhow, that little guy is all done and all sweet. And then finally, I have been thinking about fidget toys, and I can't even remember the name of the website, but I'll have it linked below. I made a few of these kind of Mobius fidgets for some of my young family members, let's say, for when we need to sit and listen. These are a lot quieter than your standard fidget spinners, and they just go on and on and on. They're really quite wonderful to play with. I have two that are kind of coordinating in colors, and then a third one and one of these got lost, and I had to make another. Pretty quick to come together, a little bit hard to wrap your brain around, literally, because you're wrapping your hook around, you're making it in kind of a unique thing. However, easy to come together. These would probably be good little like keychains or stocking stuffers, or just like something to have on hand to a child that might need something to play with in maybe a waiting room or maybe in a church service, just to kind of sit and be quiet. In fact, I probably do need to keep one or two of these in my pockets, in my purse rather, because I do end up being around children and sometimes you just need something to play with. So, and adults too. Sometimes you're in a meeting and sometimes you just want to have something going like underneath the table when you're sitting in your meeting and not being disturbing, but just kind of putting some of that energy, that finger energy somewhere. So again, I'll have the video linked to this below. I can't remember how I found it. I think I just looked up fidget spinners, like crochet fidget toys, and I found these, and they are excellent. Super tiny, really portable, compact, barely even know that it's in your hand, and that makes it all the more easy to just have and to let it be what it needs to be to help you focus and concentrate. Speaking of focus and concentration, thank you for focusing or concentrating or just hanging out and listening to me ramble about the things that I've been crocheting lately. Again, I'm just kind of stream of consciousness here. I haven't gone back and checked my videos yet as I'm recording. I probably do need to make sure that I don't bore you guys by talking about the same things over and over. I do have other works in progress that I am just not going to show at the moment. Those will be shown when there is something to show. Like there's some shawls and some other little bits and pieces. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you for spending your time with me today. Thank you to everyone who has found this channel and liked and shared and commented and subscribed. Thank you for being with me as I am kind of inconsistent in my uploads at the moment. I do appreciate the fact that y'all are still hanging in here with me because I do love to put these together and to put this out into the world. It does make my heart happy. I am on the lookout for various crochet alongs that might be happening. I've seen a couple of people pop up, and I don't know if I'll participate or not. I do kind of have my priority list, but it's always fun to get to connect with others, especially people like Cassandra who will do something fun like this every once in a while. But anyway, yeah. If for whatever reason I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon.